So I've switched off the fan and moved my camera up slightly so that my under eyes don't look as suicidal considering the subject. Um, this video is a brief follow up because of some discussions that happened as a result of the previous one. And the main question that came up was that people feel helpless when someone talks to them about wanting to commit suicide or feeling too depressed, uh, being unable to cope. People feel helpless, they don't know how to help. And while my previous video stressed listening, there are a few practical problems with that. And I'm going to try and address some of the doubts people expressed to me after that video. So, the first is the helplessness we feel. It's hard to listen to someone. The worst example I faced was when I came across a bank statement where there was next to no balance left in the account, and and then there was a deduction for not maintaining minimum balance in the bank account, and the bank balance was actually negative after that deduction. And that image had been forwarded to me as the bank statement of a farmer who had committed suicide. So not only was this fellow in debt and he had crop losses, but he actually got, what little money he had was taken away by the bank for not having enough money. So that's really bizarre. And that was a story that was really outrageous. And I I don't blog as often these days, but I'm a blogger, and I wanted to interview this man's family regarding this. Uh, this video not being about farmer suicides, I'm not going to get too much into that case. But when I spoke with his brother described the circumstances of that suicide to me in such matter of fact words. He could have been describing the weather. His voice was completely without emotion. There was no emotion whatsoever. It was really a matter of fact. Yeah, in the morning he went to the field and then we wondered why he didn't come back. So he was, and I was like, hello, that's your brother. I didn't say it because I was just listening. But as he continued to speak, I realized that this man can't afford the emotion. His voice was sounding dead because it's not too far in his own mind to follow his brother in death. And there was nothing I could do about this. Nothing. I did not have the kind of money it would take to get him out of debt. And even if I had, I wouldn't be able to afford to give it to him. Whether we're talking about fundraising, whether we're talking, see, these are all these efforts we do on a greater scale, but when we are talking of that personal tragedy right there, all you can hear is that there is this man talking to you in an extremely matter of fact manner, and he is sounding so dead because he's halfway there in his mind, and there's nothing. I have never felt so helpless in my life. And well, I did do things to try and help him, which is a separate matter, not for this video. But the point is that sometimes all you can do is really witness what's going on with them. And it's hard, it's brutal, and there isn't always a right answer for what you can do. But not doing anything, shutting down that conversation is absolutely the wrong answer. If someone who is on the verge of killing themselves, unless you actually want them to kill themselves, shutting down the conversation is a very bad idea. No matter how well-meaning you are, even if you're thinking that they really need to talk to a professional and you're completely inadequate to handle it, but refusing that conversation in that moment is a bad idea. Hear them out patiently, witness their pain, and then you can connect them to someone more appropriate. But don't refuse to have that conversation when they have chosen to put their trust in you to speak with you. That's what I had really meant when I spoke in the previous video. But there are other things you can say. Listening is important. Listening is really the biggest thing. They aren't anyone who is so overwhelmed that they are thinking of ending their lives. Trust me, they are not in a frame of mind to process a lot of information. They just are not. What they really need is for someone to take the burden of their minds for a while. To simply give them a metaphorical shoulder they can rest their head on. So listening is really the biggest thing you can do. But there are times when listening is really not possible. For example, there are people who've been depressed for a while and they grow dependent on you, and every time they're depressed and every time they feel suicidal, they call you up. And you are not capable of handling that. Or there may be people who may be manipulating you in this way. You never really know. For example, there are situations, for example, when you have a romantic relationship ending, and it may be a form of trying to control the partner who is leaving, to say that you're feeling suicidal and you need that person back in your life or you're going to die. So see, this is nonsense. Okay? And this you can make out. Nobody dies without another person. If they are too upset to cope with life, that can be helped with, but you cannot really consign another person into slavery just to prevent them from dying. So there are things you can't do. You cannot simply hand them whichever people they ask for just because they claim to be suicidal. So this is not about now feeling the obligation to offer them conversation and the obligation to try and solve their problems for them. That is not what this is about either. You listen to their state of being with compassion, but you cannot really it's not your job to do what they tell you to do. If they were thinking clearly, they wouldn't be in that situation. So you jumping onto their dysfunctional thinking is not really going to help anyone. So these are things you can refuse. At the same time, you can give them company. Or if you cannot give them company, you can offer them alternatives. Or if it's someone who is repeatedly going through such trouble, it may be a good idea to speak with their family. Or it may be a good idea to be in touch with their psychologist, so that you can alert the psychologist to get in touch with them, to sort of handle the situation when they are out of control and they call you. So there are, how you solve this will be different in every situation. And I don't think anyone can give one solution that fits all situations. But my point was only limited to when people call you out of the blue and they want to talk to you. It was really about that. The other thing is about psychologists being uniquely skilled. I definitely think getting help is important, particularly if someone is so suicidal that they are really at risk of dying without it. So it's definitely important that you get help. I'm by no means discouraging contacting a psychologist, but the time to suggest a psychologist is not when that person is on a mental ledge and waiting to jump off. The first thing you need to do is first help them feel listened, feel understood, build that trust in them that you're actually with them through this. And then once they are calmer and able to think more clearly, that is when you can convince them about the need for a psychologist. That is what I meant. It's not about all I meant is that the time when they approach you for a conversation is not the time when you simply shrug it off onto a psychologist or onto someone else. Your first duty is to respond, to listen. Duty as a friend, I'm saying. Not nobody has employed you to do it, but duty as a fellow human, as a friend, as someone who cares. Sometimes you need to give advice, okay, because obviously their mind is not thinking clearly. They are in a bad place. They need to talk to someone, and at some point they do need advice. My suggestion would be to give very specific advice rather than advice about suicide. Suicide is one thing they will have thought through endlessly. Trust me, there really is nothing you can say that they haven't very likely thought of. And more importantly, even if they haven't thought of it, the chances are that they will not think about it and reject it out of hand, because their mind is made up about suicide. But the sort of advice you can give can be related to very specific things. For example, if they are facing financial trouble, you can give them very specific advice that could help them a little on that front. Or if they are facing, they are overwhelmed by being caregivers constantly. Ill people in the home, nobody they can depend on, overworked, exhausted. You can offer very specific help, like, I've got 3 hours tomorrow, I can babysit for you. Do you want to go and catch a film? Or do you want us all to go out together with the kids? Or I don't know, if you want to take the weekend off, I can come and stay over at your place. Or offer to do something for them. If they find accounting difficult, just, okay, give me all your bank statements, I can try and help you with your tax filing. Very specific offers of help which are not related to the suicide. But trust me, what happens is, when you are depressed, all these things, it's like many drops making an ocean that completely drowns you. So if you know what things are bothering that person, you can offer very specific advice and very specific help, and that will actually help, because these are the things that are bogging that person down. And if you can help them chip away at those things, or sometimes you don't even know what is bogging them down, so you can ask, so I hear you, and so what is the overall situation? Find out about all the trouble they have on all the fronts, and you can make out from their voice what they find more intimidating. And when you're depressed, the silliest things can sound overwhelming, like your weekly shopping, and it's just too much energy to go, get up, get dressed, go to the market, go to multiple shops, do all those transactions, carry everything home. It seems overwhelming. It's ridiculously simple for someone who's normal, but for someone who is depressed, it can seem very overwhelming. So, you never know what the parts are that you can help with, but you can find out, and this kind of a help will usually be very helpful. But if you're going to try and help them with not committing suicide and give them advice, I had someone who suggests me that I should read some book, and I was like, are you crazy? I'm not even able to read my email, and my mind is not able to focus on anything. And really, I did not contact you in order to have my task list added to. I'm actually not able to cope with what I'm supposed to do already. So this is the sort of thing you have to be wary about. Rather than pile on to their work, if you can make their life easier, it usually helps. And if it's not helping, you can make out and stop offering. So you have to be a bit watchful. You offer something, and if they are interested, you can make out. If they're not interested, you can make out. And sometimes it's just a matter of, kicking butt and being a friend and saying, okay, we are going out for a coffee. And you go there, you have coffee, maybe order a sandwich, you gossip about something, tell them tales about friends you haven't met in a while. Just broaden their vision from the, broaden the scope from the tunnel vision they are in. That can help sometimes. Being there for them, basically you doing all these things itself conveys that you care. Also, while I suggest that you don't pile on advice, what you definitely can do is share your own feelings. For example, if you are feeling very helpless and lost, that your friend is, considering leaving, and you're feeling sad and you don't know how to help them and you want to help them, you share your own feelings, that also reaches them. Very often, we don't really know how much people care about you. Every time, there's a social trend on Twitter where someone dies and you suddenly have all these obituaries and fond memories, and the person's name is trending for a day, 2 days. And I look at that and I wonder whether, people actually told all this to that person while that person was alive. So sometimes it's just good to know how much you care about them, because very often a person who is depressed and suicidal is also very lonely. They don't realize just how much they matter to you. So letting them know that is also a very good idea. So that's what I can think of for now. Thank you for listening. And please keep the feedback coming. I hope you can see my face better, and the under eye bags are looking less suicidal, and the fan is switched off. So hopefully this audio is also better. Thank you.